Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to Arsa Medica. Today we are going to be recording a new video in the series of Vedic deities. So today I'm going to be speaking about a deity called Aja Ekapad. Aja Ekapad is commonly known as the deity of the nakshatra Purva Bhadrapada, or it is also generally regarded as a ferocious form of Shiva. Okay, but we will delve much deeper into it today. And it's great to be connecting with you again after a hiatus. Okay, so on this note, we can begin. I hope you can see my screen here. Okay, so this is a specific kind of a inquiry. This is a spiritual and astrological inquiry in Aja Ekapad. Now, the issue with nakshatra deities is that the references are really scattered all over the scriptures, right from the Rig Veda to the Atharva Veda to the Taittiriya Brahmana, to the also in a lexicon which is called as the Naiguntaka, written by the Rishi Yaska. So it's kind of difficult to piece it all together and also to connect it to a spiritual inquiry and also to the force that animates the nakshatra. Okay, so we are going to be trying to do that from various sources today, and I'm going to be trying to tell you to the best of my ability what this really means. Now, let's get into this in a little more organized way. So we are going to be speaking, the first slide is about the name, the nature, and we are going to be talking of the scriptural and the spiritual correlates of this deity. Now, when you visualize this deity, or even if you go to Google and if you just put Aja Ekapad and see the images, you will find basically a deity standing on one feet usually. There could be several attributes, several symbols. In the hands of the deity, maybe a trishul, it could be a beneficent hand, for example. Sometimes you find a Trimurti-like kind of figure emerging from both sides of the deity. You have a central kind of a Shiva, and on the sides you have even a Trimurti type of approach. But the common thing you see is that this is a deity which is standing on one feet, or at least on one kind of a pillar. And therefore, and the name is very suggestive. So the name can be split up into sort of its components. Aja would mean a couple of things. Aja is that which is beyond birth, or which is unborn. Jayate means the process of being born or birth itself. Ajaya is that which is unborn. It is like anta, ananta. Likewise, it is aja, ajaya in that sense. So it could mean unborn. So that is one very powerful meaning of aja. The other meaning of aja is ajana, which means that which flows. And you will see in subsequent explanations why the flowing, the process of flowing, the phenomenon of flowing, the flow itself is very important for this nakshatra and what it represents. Aja also means a goat. Okay, so a goat, a mountain goat is extremely fast. It scrambles up the mountain like lightning. So in that sense, there is this aspect of lightning, of the sky, of something going from the grounds or going from the earth to the sky, something which bridges the terrestrial and the heavenly realms, as it were. So Aja could also indicate a one-footed goat in that context. Okay. Now, Ekapad, Eka is one. Eka is also non-duality. It is unity. Eka is the single eye of Shiva. Okay. it is the one truth. So it is said in the Rig Veda that ekam satyaha vipraha bahavaha vadanti, which means there is one truth, and the learned will talk about it in various ways. So Eka also stands for a kind of a concentration. It is also the one pillar, the one bridge which connects the terrestrial and the heavenly. So Eka is connotative of unity. It is connotative of fierceness, of support also. Pada is feet. So one foot, one pada, Ekapada, that which is standing on its one foot. So the unborn cosmic pillar standing on its foot, or the unborn cosmic pillar which protects fiercely, could be a kind of a spiritual definition of sorts for Aja Ekapad. Now the Shiva connotation is extremely obvious here, or the Rudra connotation, because Shiva means auspicious. Now Aja Ekapad is fundamentally a fierce deity. One can't really call it auspicious immediately. Anything to do with a deity, anything to do with Shiva, eventually will produce beneficial results or beneficent results. But in the interim, in its manifestation, while it is in its operational flow, it is far from auspicious. It is quite ferocious. So therefore, here I would like to call this more of the Rudra connotation, a Rudra being a force of nature, and Shiva being more of a Hindu toned down, auspicious synonym for Rudra. Bhairava. So therefore, Aja Ekapad is a kind of a Rudra. It is a Bhairava. Now, Rudra, if you know the elemental origins of Rudra, Rudra has got elemental combinations of fire and air. So it's fiery, it's airy, it spreads like wildfire, it is very powerful. It thrives where there is storm. It thrives in a cosmic maelstrom of sorts. So you will come to know later as we speak further about this today, that Aja Ekapad actually finds itself very much in the eye of the storm, as it were. It is fierce standing. Certainly it is fierce, it is standing. We know that that the nakshatra Purva Bhadrapada is a fierce nakshatra. In fact, it is symbolized by the funeral cot, the front and the back legs of the funeral cot. So it is fierce. And it's a Ugra nakshatra, that means. And this is like a stand. This is like that rock of Gibraltar, which will brave all odds, in standing there in that sense. So it's a fierce standing Bhairava Rudra. It is also a punishing teacher. Remember that the nakshatra planetary lord of Purva Bhadrapada is Jupiter also here. So therefore, Rudra in its fierce, Rudra as a fierce punishing teacher is a connotation of a kind. So therefore, it's a Ugra Devata. It needs to be appeased. It needs to be prayed to. It needs to be reconciled with, in a manner that its energies will support and will nurture. Okay, we already spoke of its ferocity. If you notice, and the subsequent slide will make it very amply clear, it's a kind of a cosmic pillar, because where does it stand really? It stands in the ocean. It's like the pillar between the earth and the ocean. And this we are coming back repeatedly to this point again in the next slide, but suffice it right now to understand it as it is. It is the axis mundi. Axis mundi is like the axis of the earth, in a sense, in a cosmic sense. And it has a certain connection with Ahi Budhnya. Ahi Budhnya being the next nakshatra deity, the deity of Uttara Bhadrapada. Right? Ahi means a serpent. Ahi is also the undulations of Agni, which are like a serpent. So it is a fiery serpent kind of a thing. The closest Western synonym or um, let's say construct could be a dragon, for example. Budhnya is from the depths of. So a dragon from the depths, a serpent from the depths. That's the nakshatra deity of Uttara Bhadrapada. So we find that there is a deep correlation between Aja Ekapad and Ahi Budhnya. In fact, they are kind of synonymous in certain ways. Scriptural references of this all are found in the Rig Veda, in the Taittiriya Brahmana, in Naiguntak. Naiguntak is a kind of a lexicon of the Vedic deities. You see, when we read the Rig Veda, there are so many deities. There are almost more than 100 deities. And it is impossible to know what we are talking about. Because so long as we are talking about Rudra and Soma and Agni, fine, we know, or Indra. At least we have heard of them, we can relate. But if we start talking about Apam Napat, or we start talking about Deus, okay, or Ushas, then suddenly we are in completely at sea. We don't know what these are. So in order to make the deities more decipherable, more understandable, a rishi called Yaska created a lexicon by the name of Naiguntaka. Okay, so in Naiguntaka you find a lot of reference to these deities. In fact, that's one of the source of today's presentation. And AV is Atharva Veda. Okay. Now with this, let me now go to another very important concept, which is basically the connection of Panchak, the Panchak nakshatras with Aja Ekapad. And basically the whole journey from Dhanishta to Revati. Okay, so if you see from Dhanishta to Revati, you have these 5 nakshatras. You have Dhanishta, okay, you have Shatabhishak, you have Purva Bhadrapada, you have Uttara Bhadrapada, and you have Revati. Okay, now Aquarius, if you see Aquarius in the Kalapurush Kundali, it is the 11th house. It is the house of gains. And you see Pisces in the Kalapurush Kundali, it is the 12th house, the house of dissolution, the Vyaya Sthana. Okay, so, or also the Moksha Sthana, right? Remember that Pisces Lord is Jupiter and the higher Lord of Pisces is Neptune. Okay, so you are talking of a journey from rapid gains to rapid dissolution, because Dhanishta, the second half of Dhanishta, the third and fourth pada of Dhanishta are in Kumbh or Aquarius. So this is a journey from this is basically a journey of 4.5 nakshatras. We call them 5 because Dhanishta is there. So we count them as Dhanishta till Revati. So what is happening is in this whole, let's say, mythological sphere from Aquarius to Pisces, this is a journey from rapid gains to rapid dissolution. Now the story of nakshatras, or the journey of nakshatras right from Ashwini back to Revati, this is a kind of a cosmic mythological story, a story of wars, famines, a story of gains, story of blessings of the ancestors, a story of trouble from the Nagas or Sarpas, a story of the influence of the Adityas, and then also the war which Indra fought. So I'm talking. So if you understand what I'm saying, I was just referring to the Jyeshtha Moola junction, or the Jyeshtha nakshatra, with the lord of the nakshatra lord of nakshatra deity is Indra, for example. So the whole story of the nakshatras particularly becomes quite fascinating, or rather eventful, from Aquarius to Pisces, from Dhanishta to Revati. Dhanishta, you see, the whole story continues further. So after Shravan, okay, where the nakshatra deity is Vishnu. So you see Vishnu, the preserver, coming into picture, and then Dhanishta, where the Ashtavasus, the deity of Dhanishta, is coming into picture, and that's a period when the earth is thickly sort of enriched by vegetation, by the terrestrial affluence. You see even human beings, or even the entities which populate the earth, are in affluence. And this is basically when when it's a period of growth and relative peace. Okay. And then is Shatabhishak. Now, Shatabhishak is also called as the physician to the gods. Okay. It is the nakshatra of um, the nakshatra lord being Rahu, but the nakshatra devata Varuna here. So um, so it's and Varuna being the lord of the oceans, the lord of the waters, and actually the original Vedic hegemonistic overlord. Okay. uh, because earlier, before Indra became prominent in the Rig Veda, Indra became prominent in the Rig Veda basically after the um, turning of the oceans, and then there was this war between the Devas and the Daityas. Okay, when the separation happened, and Amrit was given to the Devas. But before that, the one Asura or the overlord was Varuna. Okay, so Varuna is a Deva as well as a Danava. He's like the overlord, and this overlord is the lord of the nakshatra Shatabhishak, and Varuna represents hegemony over complete kind of a cosmos, right from the oceans to the air in between, the entire atmosphere, and then the heavens. So that's the domain of Varuna, which means everything is stormy that time. And then comes Purva Bhadrapada, where you need a stabilizing influence, and that's where that's the role of Rudra, or that's where the role of Aja Ekapad comes into picture, a fierce form of Shiva which creates a cosmic pillar of sorts, which stabilizes the cosmos, like the axis Mundi, as we said earlier. Meaning the world. Axis is axis, so the axis of the world, a stabilizing axis, as it were. So that is Aja Ekapada. Now you get the context of Aja Ekapad, where it comes from, what precedes it, what is after it. And then, of course, you see Ahir Budnya. And in fact, Ahir Budnya and Aja Ekapad are mentioned together in 5 verses of the Rig Veda. They are mentioned almost interchangeably, as if they are part of the same continuum. Like we consider the Bhadrapadas as part of the same Purva Bhadrapada, Uttara Bhadrapada, or we say Purva Falguni, Uttar Falguni. Likewise, Aja Ekapad and Ahir Budnya are almost like that. They are a continuum of sorts, a cosmic conceptual continuum also. So the same process that Aja Ekapad has kind of initiated, between the heaven and the oceans, that same process kind of continues deeper, with a deeper churning with Ahir Budnya, and then there is an oceanic integration in the whole process. So here is where the whole energy rises from the bottom to the top. The storm is resolved, and there is a kind of a divine wisdom, which you can see, a divine plan emerging in the form of Aja Ekapada and Ahir Budnya. Remember, Varuna is the original lord, so it also kind of heralds the Aja Ekapada and Ahir Budnya process. And therefore, this is a journey from the cardinal airy sign. Okay, when you're talking of cardinal airy sign, I am referring to Capricorn. Also, synonym being Chara Prithvi Tattva, to fixed airy. So, Sthira Vayu Tattva, which is Kumbha Rashi or Aquarius, to mutable watery, which is Dviswabhav Jala Tattva. Okay, so here you see the role of Shiva or the role of Rudra. I do not like the word Shiva so much in this context, because Shiva means auspicious. Here, the context of Aja Ekapad is a fierce deity. So the role of Shiva or Rudra as Aja Ekapad as a stabilizing axis Mandi. Okay, and in fact, there is a whole shloka in the Taittiriya Brahmana referring to this whole, let's say, domain. It speaks of the ocean, the stream, the aerial space, Aja Ekapada, the thundering cloud, the thundering flood, Ahir Budnya, and all the gods. So if you understand, or if you now look back on what I was just speaking for the last 5-7 minutes, you will find that this is all integrated in this whole description of this domain. Okay, this domain of Panchaka, And that's why they said that if somebody dies during Panchak, then there is likely to be some kind of a calamity in the family in terms of possible mortalities and all that. So while whether that actually happens is somewhat debatable, but certainly one can understand from where this thought or this conceptualization would have emerged. This is like being born or dying in the storm kind of a situation. Okay, so with this, now I want to talk about the medical astrological correlation of Aja Ekapad. Now you will notice that the part of the body which is signified by Aquarius basically is the foot, right? So in Aquarius you have Dhanishta, the second half of Dhanishta, third and fourth pada, you have Shatabhishak, the entire nakshatra, and then you have Purva Bhadrapada, three parts of Purva Bhadrapada, one part or one pada going in the Pisces. Now, typically, this is the knee here, you can see here, and you see a picture from the back, and you see a picture from the side. Now, we are more concerned with the picture from the back here. Now, the central muscle which you see, which is named as gastrocnemius, that actually represents, or that is the domain of Shatabhishak, typically. Why that is so, what are the characteristics of that, I'm not going to discuss today, because today we are not talking about Shatabhishak or Varuna. Essentially, we are talking about the next nakshatra. But if you notice just below that, there is this vertical band, a wide band, which is labeled as Achilles tendon, or tendo Achilles as it is called. You notice that it is actually inserting into the back of the foot. See here, it is actually inserts into the back of the foot. That is actually part going in the foot. So one can call it three parts is above, one part is below. It is also the axis. It is what supports. Tomorrow, if this tendon breaks, sometimes it does break because of disease or injury or degeneration, then the person just cannot walk, even if all his muscles are normal, because that axis, that support is gone. So this tendon, Achilles tendon, represents the Aja Ekapad in my perception. Okay, so with this brief explanation, I thank you once again for attending this or listening to this talk. And as usual, it's great to be back to talk to you. And I look forward to your comments, your feedback, and any suggestions that you may have. Thank you so much. On behalf of me, I'm Dr. Rahul Kamath, signing off for Arsa Medica, the medical astrological channel. Bye.